Okay, folks, Tuesday night, Amorites. And I'd like to say this is the last instance of this, but it's probably going to be the last instance of the Amorite blades. I hope we can get these guys done today. That's kind of the goal. I'm pretty tired, but hopefully we can knock these guys out. So what we have left to do is these 5 figures here, which are the remainder of the fast blade. And that's what we'll plan on working on this evening. Just get some of these other things out of the way that I'm being encroached on over here. And see if any of this paint died on me. Kind of in back in condition. I had to pull everything off to do filming. We didn't do filming for like a month, and then in a week I've got 3 different videos up, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed that. Probably not going to have any for the rest of the month. We've got, I don't think I'm going to be playing next week, and because at the end of next week is our game, I was going to say our convention, but that's not really the case either. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some beards and facial hair here. And this guy's got some kind of straps or whatever, like suspenders. But let's go ahead and get the beards out of the way and do that. So yeah, not this coming weekend, but the following one, we've got the convention, the stuff we would have been running at the convention. But since we're not going, we're just going to run that here in town. So it's just going to be kind of like another day at Mitch's with just more people at it. So, and it's 3 days of that. It'll be Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday morning. So we're going to run it just like we're going to run at the convention. We're just not going to run it at the convention location in Orlando. Where are the magic juices? I said, I don't know how long I'm going to last. It's all going to depend on you guys, whether or not you keep me entertained. Got home from work and did a workout and I'm beat. So, took a shower and so my hair is kind of crazy. It's because it's clean. I'm not going to put crap in my hair and then go to bed. Wind blown from the fan. little bit more. See if we can salvage any of that white. It's about died on me. All right, that'll work. Boy, it didn't take long for this stuff to get stuck on the end. Let's get some new white here. All right, next head of hair. Who we got there? Studio WGS coming to you from Malaysia. Welcome. Good morning. Not yet. Not yet. 4 hours here, technically. Okay, where we got? We got, let's get some, I don't know if we've got any of this SS Brown left. Let's go ahead and put some here. The Land of Hot Wheels. Wonder if matchboxes are made there too. Maybe. I think they both got in together. They got in cahoots. They're owned by the same people. I think Mattel owns both of them now. Makes sense. Get rid of your one competitor. Matchboxes used to all come from the UK. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact this one's a Matchbox. Made in England, 1973. Yeah. I don't know why all these vehicles end up having this ridge in the center of the tire. Maybe it's so it rolls better on there. Maybe there's less friction. But, you know, most of it's going on that one little center spot. It almost looks like an injection molding on it. But I think just about all the vehicles have that. No, maybe just that one. No, just that one. Made in Malaysia. Yeah. I didn't know there was a huge to-do with Matchbox cars. You can and Hot Wheels cars, you can order cases and they're distributed. Some are definitely more rare than others, and people go and order a whole case. Almost kind of like if they're getting those Magic the Gathering cards or something. You never know what you're going to get. It just seems like a ploy to get people to spend more money and have a bunch of extras of something you don't need. You never got into collecting die-cast cars. Well, I did as a kid, but I don't know if I got into it as the right terminology. I remember my favorite brand was this one brand called Tomica, or I guess it would be Tomica. They're made in Japan, and what was cool about them at the time is they had the tires were more realistically shaped wheels. Not the tires, because they weren't made out of rubber, but they were still plastic. But they were more reasonably shaped instead of the Hot Wheels that were all significantly oversized. And I remember those as a kid, and they didn't make these outlandish cars. They made cars that you could conceivably, afford to own sometime in your life. and their doors opened. All the front doors opened. So as a kid, I remember that. But we're talking 1978, 1979 when those guys are. They're still around though. They still make vehicles, but you can't find them in any stores here. These used to be at Kmart and stuff would have them. Just a regular store. the Tamikas. And I had a couple of those, and I liked them because the door opened. But I don't know about collecting them. You know, there are people that collect them and put them on walls, but I mean, you know, they're already done. So I don't see what the point in buying things that's already done by somebody else. You know. Yeah, they're still around, and they make mundane Japanese vehicles. You know, they don't make supercars. They don't make, like, you know, Lamborghinis and stuff like that. I think they make Camrys and Subarus. You know, the cars you could, you know, that normal people have. Not some super car, but yeah, I had some as a kid, but I don't know that I had that many of them. I was always interested in war weapons, and, you know, cars that are unarmed is kind of like, you know, a little boring. Die-cast collector's market is big here. Yeah, I don't see the point of collecting die. I don't see the point in collecting things that are already done. I mean, anybody can do it, you know. It's not for me. I'll leave that to somebody who doesn't paint, you know. So I do have a fair amount of them. Now, first of all, they're so darn cheap. I don't know how you can manufacture one of those and it cost and ship it here for $1. I really don't. I must have failed that class in school where that makes any sense. But they're really inexpensive, and when we were doing Gaslands, I've got lots of different ones. But and I've painted a few. And as a matter of fact, I just saved somebody just posted on the Gaslands website just today some pictures of his vehicles that were painted, and they weren't the best painted vehicles, but I could see that he did dry brushing with them, and it didn't take him freaking 10 hours to do each one like it does me. I mean, I've done a couple of vehicles, and they just take for, not those ones I showed you, those ones, they're in my case. I've done two or three, and they took an inordinate amount of time to do. But they're really cool. But I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to get any painted if I spend that kind of time on it. So I need to just spray them black and do some kind of dry brushing and stuff on there. So I'd saved his post from the Facebook page today. He just posted it today, and he said, hey, here's my cars that I'm going to run for a demo game. And they look great. I mean, anybody who played in his demo game would be proud to use any of his vehicles. But I'm looking at them, and I'm like, okay, well, I can cut down my time in like a third of doing each one, or even less than that. So, Gasland's out of print at the moment. It is? I thought it was available on Amazon. Even the second printing? Wow. You could get it digitally, though, I think. I hate when books go out of print, you know? When things go out of print, the consumer loses. I haven't played that in about a year and a half. It's a good game. It's a good game, but it's not like, really, you're gonna start with me over there? Things falling off in the distance. I got a couch over here that I like to throw things on. I want to get them out of the way. And, you know, a piece of paper floating around. I'm looking for my needle. It was here just a moment ago. I'll find it by stepping around. I'm going to need that to open this thing up. All right. Let's go in a different direction. Let's do it with this. It's a fun game, but the last time we played for a couple hours and we didn't finish the game, people had to leave early. So that's what I call a fail, when you don't get to finish a game. Also, wheelchairs have a hard time. Well, I don't know that the DBA rulebook is going to be they're going to go to that print method anymore. It's now available on a print on demand service called Lulu, Lulu, and it's a lot less inexpensive, and that's the best thing you could do, just print on demand. Because I understood that the reason why DBA rule book would go out of print was they had to get a certain amount of them for the print run, and then they would do the print run, and hopefully they didn't print too many, and then they were stuck with them. Not that that's ever happened with that rule set, but nonetheless, the print on demand is the way to go. So as a matter of fact, my copy of I have the DBMM Army books, and I got those through Lulu, and those were print on demand. And they were pretty inexpensive. They were $15, $16, $17 each, and they were printed in South Carolina. So I don't exactly know how it works, but if people want a product, that gets them at least into their hand. There's no reason for the books to go out of print if people want them. So unless it's some nefarious scheme where they want to specifically run out of them to drive the price of the ones that the people have, but that just seems nefarious and honestly not really worth the effort, considering how few people are in the market to buy war games rules. So, but you never know. But I was trying to get a hold of the Warhammer's Ancient Battle Rules, not to play the game, but they have some really cool books. When I was painting my first DBA army, my Feudal Spanish, I picked up the one on El Cid. Of course, at that time, those books were still being produced. And I've got the Hannibal and the Punic War as one. I've got the Byzantine Beyond the Golden Gate, I believe it's called. And I wanted to pick up the Dracula one, and it's just not available. And somebody decided to nefariously put, I guess that's today's word, nefariously scan a copy and put it on one of those illegal sharing things. I guess it's illegal. I don't know. But I downloaded the copy. Unfortunately, I wanted to buy it, but it's not available. I'd probably still buy one if one showed up, because those books are beautiful. I don't want to play Warhammer Ancient Battles, but there's a lot of easy to digest history and stuff like that, and eye candy and all that kind of stuff. But like the Osprey books, probably just about all of them, somebody put them on the internet, pirated and put them on the internet, but. If the book's available, I'll buy the book. It's just I don't mind having books. Last year, I think it was last year, maybe it was the year before, I actually pre-ordered a book. I'd never done that before. In other words, I bought a copy of an Osprey book on the day it was released. I had never done that before, but it was a subject I was interested in. It's an army I have to do, and I've talked about doing it for a long time, and it just keeps getting pushed farther and farther down the queue. But I'm not sure if I'm going to get around to doing those guys. But they're kind of a normal army, and I'm kind of enjoying doing some of the stranger combinations right now. So having one on the shelf helps to push the game in the store. Yeah, you'll run a demo and people's like, this game's cool. Where can I buy the rules? Oh, well, they're not available. Yeah, people don't want to. Is there that many gamers in Malaysia? I can't imagine being that many, but I don't know. There's a fair amount of gamers in this town, but they don't want to play historical stuff, so there might as well not be any as far as I'm concerned. Definitely few and far between. Let's see what we got here. You've got quite a few. Enough to run yearly tournaments. I just think of all this DBA I do, I would get even more players if there were books on the shelf. Yeah. I guess you could order some from Lulu, have them come in and then mark them up, but I don't know what it would cost to ship out there. Shipping's crazy everywhere. Everywhere, even within the U.S., it's crazy. The only thing it's not expensive shipping is Amazon. It's already included in the price, pretty much. So, all right, 2 hairs left to go. Yeah, nobody wants to pay for shipping. Just hide it in the price. People don't want to see that. People don't want to see that. People don't want to pay for freight, for shipping. I work in logistic type stuff, so I get it. And the shipping of things now, I feel like is quicker than it's ever been. Well, that's not true. It was quicker a couple of years ago. For obvious reasons. That's the goal here. Get these guys done. We can spray them. Where we are, we have to ship to keep stocks on the shelves. Are melee armies popular there? What is that? Book 437? Man, if I know that, and I have no intention of painting that army. Not because, I have anything against it, just they're not on the radar. Let's see. 436 is later Muslim Indian. 437, I believe, is melee. Yep. Now I know what my superpower is. Melee or Sumatran, Moluccan, Javanese and other armies. Malay is an elephant general, then another elephant, 6 solid warband, 2 fast bow or saloy, and a saloy, and then a solid warband, a light horse, or an artillery piece. And littoral aggression 1. That's a cool army. As long as you can get the warriors to do something with a warband. That's the problem with a warband is sometimes they just don't deliver. That's cool. This list covers the Javanese empires of Singasari and Majapahit, the Malay Sultanate of Malacca. Cool. Gotta love elephants, man. I don't know that they're that much of a great war-winning weapon, but they're cute. We have one guy with Grumpy. I think the Grumpy figures look really cool. The Grumpy figures, I think, look really cool. Their elephants look really good, as a matter of fact. You showcased a video of the Malay a year or so ago. Okay. All right, I need to write myself a note. I haven't watched one of your videos in a long time. My apologies. I do like them. They're very relaxing. Just some people I like to listen to. They're just calming. So, I'm sorry to tell you, your voice is not good for starting riots. That's a compliment. We don't need any more troublemakers in this world. I do need to catch up on your videos, though. Hopefully there's elephant poo in that one. Love it. Love it. No, but elephants are really cool. They're a lot of fun to paint. A lot of fun to paint. Everybody likes to paint elephants. Yeah, it is a good thing. Don't need to stir up any trouble. I'll see if I can watch that one tonight as I'm trying to wind down. I've got a lot of people I'm subscribed to, and unfortunately, you know, it's kind of like if you go on Facebook, you just get bombarded with, hey, check this out. Hey, there's a new video for this. And you just like get overwhelmed with suggestions, and you know, you can't, you miss maybe the things that you're really the most interested in seeing because you're just bombarded with so many things. And at least in Facebook, you go on and you'll see something, and just as you're clicking away, you're like, that looks interesting, but then it's gone. And then you go back and it's not there anymore and you can't find it. And hopefully when you did see it, you made a mental note, like really quickly, on what group it's part of, so you can go to that group and find it. But sometimes there's no rhyme or reason what comes up on your page first. Sometimes something that happened a week ago comes on your page, and sometimes something that just happened minutes ago comes on you. You know, works in mysterious ways. So There's a there's an army of that kind of in the same area where you live that's on my to-do list, but I don't know when I'm going to get around to do them. We'll see. I'm interested in just in most armies, so you know. I do like those grumpy figures. They look good on the computer. They're a little stumpy looking, but so is Essex, you know, and they're okay. Let me go get a beverage. I'll be right back. You have a store, if I remember correctly. What's the name of your store? Is it Wolf Gaming Shop? I think it is. You loved showcasing DBA figures from different manufacturers. I do too. I like all the manufacturers, honestly. I really do. I think it's Wolf Gaming Shop. Wolf Gaming Store or something like that. Are there any wolves in Malaysia? They get eaten by all the tigers. Wolf doesn't stand a chance with a tiger. I got an army that Mitch wanted me to buy. Well, there's an army he wants me to build that he's been wanting to have for a long time. It's an army that I'm pretty interested in building myself. Of course, I'm not really looking to buy any more figures. I got plenty. And this one would be from scratch, but it would have a tiger in the army, literally. And that would be kind of cool. You know, just for yucks. I mean, it wouldn't do anything. Just like my Irish wolfhound, you know. Wolf Game Shop, yes. Are there wolves in Malaysia? My to-do list includes the Tuareg. Oh, yeah, the Tuareg are cool. Yeah. Mr. Dirk, welcome. Excellent. The gang's all back. See if we can knock these guys out. I'm tired of looking at these. I may have to do the chariot next. Oh, darn. But if I do that, then the army's probably not going to get done on time. So, maybe we won't. Or maybe we'll go ahead and start work on the chariot and make sure that we get that done so that the other stuff doesn't get done. After these guys are done, I've got the chariot in 2 more stands. Those 2 stands can either be fast auxilia, solid auxilia, or solid horde. And I've got figures for everything except the fast auxilia. So we'll see. I'm leaning towards doing the solid horde, because then it could be expendable. Ish. Oh, you don't know if I've Witness at chariot painting. I'll tell you what, it won't be quick. It is lots of different pieces. I've done 2, and I had never done a chariot painting before, and I had to deal with some hurdles. None of them were really that big of a problem, but it was just kind of unique stuff that I had to deal with, and it pretty much went off without a hitch. I don't remember throwing it across the room or getting angry or anything like that. Inventing some curse words, and I put the reins on them too, because I think having a chariot without reins just looks a little silly. Now I draw the line as I'm not going to put string on the bows. That's one detail too far. So the goal is to slowly fill up my post on Fanatica showcased armies. Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like that I use that website less, that bulletin board less and less every day. And a lot of it has to do with it's so difficult to post pictures. You used to be able to go and put them on, you can't post them directly, right? I mean, you could put a link to your YouTube channel, which is what I do on my post there. But it used to be you could just post pictures on there, and then you can't, and then you have to use a hosting service. And so I used PhotoBucket for a while, and then PhotoBucket wanted to charge you per month to use it, and I'm like, no. Yeah, sometimes you're posting things on and you're wondering if anybody's even seeing it. I don't know. Okay, so we got the beards done, and I realized I didn't do all the handles of these things, so we'll have to do the handles. Man, there's a lot of stuff left to do on this, guys. Well, not really. Facebook works best. I've liked a lot of your posts. Facebook is a good balance between... Some people love Instagram. I hate it. I hate Instagram because it's very difficult to type things on there. It's difficult to have back and forth with other people. I mean, yeah, there's things on Facebook where it's like, oh, there's too many politics on Facebook, so just don't get involved in it. I mean, I don't, Yeah, there's lots of trolls and stuff on there, but I like having the back and forth with people. Like, hey, here's these guys, and these are figures that I used, or somebody will ask you, how did you do this? It's a good balance between, picture quality and typing some things that go along with it. You can give people likes and stuff like that. It's user friendly when it comes to that. I know some people really don't like Facebook, but my biggest gripe with Facebook, like I said, you see something you like, and like, just as you're clicking away, and you're like, no, let me go back, and it's not there anymore. And hopefully, you paid attention to what group you saw it in, so that you can go back to that and take a look at it again. Because if not, you're up a creek. It doesn't matter what you have your settings to. Like, show me the latest. It doesn't. It's all screwed up. So, but it's free. So, it's free for now. I don't know. Would I pay for it? I don't know. I personally think it really helps wargamers stay in contact with each other. I love it for that. I really like it for those things. But there are people on there that just want to start trouble. I know I mentioned before. There's I'm a member of several car groups, and the people on there are just nasty to each other. So there's this guy I'm subscribed to, and he's really interesting. He's a car guy. He's a mechanic guy. And he has all of these clickbait titles to things. The government has just banned imported cars. And when you click on that video, you'll find out that's not really what the video's about. It's just clickbait. He has an interesting channel. Well, that wasn't what I was talking about, that they were nasty, but, you know, people will share ideas about some vehicle that they have, and they're just, you know, if you don't like something, just look the other way. There's no reason you got to be nasty to each other, but they're terrible. They're people just trolling. And it's funny because I think the wargaming groups that I'm a member of, I don't think that we really have that much of a problem. I mean, if somebody's a problem, it's like one guy and he leaves, but not like these. It's like they've got ample reinforcements to just come back and back and back for more, just stirring up problems. You know, if you have a job that's challenging, you don't want to do any problems when you come home. I just want to be left alone. I'm on YouTube, Insta, and Facebook. Yeah, YouTube is wonderful. There's so many good things on there. So many good things. And it's pretty user friendly. And yeah, there's trolls on there, but whatever, you know. So I got to moderate all my comments on there, not because people say nasty things. I really don't have that much of an issue, but I end up getting these people that'll make some kind of a comment like, you know, I got one yesterday, good, period. And then it was a link under it, which I'm sure was for some adult website or something like that. I'm like, yeah, I don't want that on my page. You know, that's not what my page is about, you know, going to an adult website. You can do that on your own. You know, you don't need my help for that. So, and besides, it's probably not just an adult website. It's probably a spam-filled, you know, personal information stealing place as well. So I just delete those. You guys never get to see them. So, but it's not that many. I think that probably the most I've ever had on one video is maybe 4, and not all at once. So, trying to fish for information on people, but I don't really have much of a problem on people being nasty on comments. I had a couple guys that tried to start some kind of jihad on one of my posts. Nope, we don't need that. You can go do that somewhere else. But, and I know that affects people's wanting to interact or send a message. I know, because they're like, oh, you know, your comment's going to be approved for moderation before somebody responds to it. And like, yeah, I won't even bother saying anything. But the alternative is you go to some of these other YouTube channels where that filter's obviously off, and there's people that just starting all kinds of trouble and arguing with it. You know, we don't need a wrestling match on my hobby post, you know. So, war gamers I've pretty much come in contact with are all pretty reasonable fellows. Okay, put that guy away. I mean, it's a hobby post. It is. It is. I'm there to talk about the things we have in common, not what divides us. There's plenty of things that divide us. I don't want to talk about that stuff. You know, go turn on the news. See what they've picked for you guys to hate each other over. No, I want to talk about the things we have in common. You know? I know lots of people that don't use the miniatures page. I just don't find it of value anymore. It's very hard to find things. It's very difficult to put pictures on and stuff like that. I think it's time for it is long past. I used it in the early 2000s when I was doing World War II gaming and stuff. It was really good to find out who made miniatures for what, but there's some people on there that just wanted to get into it. You know, why do you have a place called the miniatures page, but then you have a group for politics? Like, who cares about that? Go to a politics website and argue about that stuff. But food, people arguing about who's got the best hot dog. Like, what's got to do with my hobby? And people getting banned from there. I mean, it's like, I don't know. It place might as well not even exist. I don't use it anymore. And I never got involved in any of that stuff. So I use the miniatures page because I featured some figures that are no longer in production. Yeah, another shame. They don't, people don't make molds. Like, somebody went and actually made the mold for a figure and it's not being cast. But I honestly forget it exists. It's just so difficult to find stuff in there. I used to check it every day, and I don't know that I go there every 6 months once. All right, so we're gonna do this, and then we gotta figure out what color we're gonna paint these straps. They're crisscross his chest, and then we do the shield, and then we're done with these guys. We probably won't spray them tonight. I don't want this paint to potentially be wet at any level, and then we have a different problem. All right. Okay, so the shield's gonna be dark-ish. I think it needs to be a light color to stand out from their skin. Gotta go start my day now. Okay. We'll check out your videos tonight. I'll look for that melee one. Since we were just talking about those guys. Grumpy Fit Miniatures. I wonder how that got the name. Maybe the sculptor's always grumpy all the time. I also don't see the need for, when people post, they have some make-believe handle. Like, just use your freaking name. You bet, studio. Have a good day. Sell lots of stuff. Supply the minions with gaming things. I don't see the point in hiding your identity. You know what? Why are you hiding your identity? You're going to start trouble? It's too much trouble to start trouble. was going to start with this color, see what happens here. Wearing some kind of Sumerian suspenders. Boy, it's just dark as shit in here. Sassy Chap 69. That's what you post under. Oh, man. I don't like handles. That reminded me of something. You know, when you go and say you get a gaming system, like let's say you get a PlayStation or an Xbox or something like that, and you're a little late to the show. In other words, it's always the joys of working from home. I can watch you paint while I'm working. Excellent. Perfect. And you get to save on fuel. You don't have to take a vehicle to work. Everybody wins, you know, or public transportation or anything. You can keep your office at whatever temperature you want it to be. If you're late to the game of you know, getting an account where you have to create what your handle is, you know, you'll want to use, you know, something, and it's already taken, so it'll give you a suggestion of almost what you want, but then with, you know, 34 behind it, or 73 or whatever. And I don't want a handle that has a numbers in it, especially if they're like random numbers, you know. I don't know, maybe that's just me, you know. You know, I didn't want to call my channel DBA this, that, or the other, because I'm going to have some content that's not DBA. Maybe one day I'm not going to do DBA anymore, you know. Then I get stuck to, you know, whatever it is, but... What I didn't know was the thing was that people put their Instagram handle on their vehicle as a decal. Like, you need followers that bad? I mean, you think you're cool as you think your car is that cool? I don't know. I didn't know that was a thing, you know. Underscores. I don't like underscores. I don't mind dashes. You know, the dash in the middle of it. I don't like underscores. They look like it's, I don't know, just looks weird. An underscore in the middle of a name. I don't mind emails that use lowercase, because almost everybody's email is all lowercase anyways, right? But if you go and sign up and put your name down, like if your name's got to be capitalized, you know, first and last. Zach, you made this channel 15 years ago. Wow, when you were still in high school. Thank goodness I went with my name instead of something clever I thought of as a teen. Yeah. You were in high school 15 years ago. What was 15 years ago? 2006? Wow. I don't know. Memory's weird. I remember the 9/11 thing just happened recently. I remember everything about that day. But I don't remember what happened 2 years ago on a particular day. So, I guess, if you don't refresh memories of a certain event or a certain day, they just kind of get, they're not important. They kind of just get pushed off to the side. Yeah, I remember that 9/11 like it was yesterday. But then I can't remember yesterday. 15 years ago, 2006. I don't think I used YouTube much in 2006. I didn't join Facebook till 2009. That's when things really started taking off. It's having your phone with you. It's having a phone with you that is basically a small computer that you bring with you all the time, that if you get a response to some post you made, you get it immediately. That's when things really sped up. It used to be in the early 2000s, you'd get up, you'd check your email, see if you had any. I don't ever check email now. Nobody emails me. Email is a pain. Personal email is a pain. Work email is not a pain. It's kind of a thing you use all the time. Everybody uses it. It's important. But personal email, just send me a text, or call me, or send me a message through Facebook Messenger. That's the best one. You can access that from everything. It's really user friendly, and you can send GIFs, whatever you call them, to each other. Humor, that kind of stuff. But personal email, no, I don't use that. That's like a personal check. I don't use that. And what really turned me off of it is because when I use personal email, I use my email address is a provider that doesn't exist anymore, but I've kept it. They just said, well, you can just roll it in. It does it. But my interface is so non-user friendly that sometimes it's really difficult. Like if I've got an ongoing thread, I've got one right now. I'm communicating with someone who may be coming to Florida to play DBA soon. So we're kind of going this back and forth, responding to each other every day. And I've got to go, I'll read his email and I look at the response and that's not the last one. So I've got to click down. It's not like, for instance, Facebook, where it's really easy to see who said what when, and then if you got multiple people emailing to each other, one guy will respond, but he won't respond to the latest thing. So you're constantly kicking the football down in the same direction. It's very inefficient. I basically do not use personal email at all. There's just much better ways to communicate with that than that. I haven't used it in quite some time. I find it very, very clunky. It's the last guy with this little strap thingy, and then we can go do his shield. All right. And that is the color that we used for that. Is US Field Drab. What time is it? Because I feel like I'm ready for bed. Man, it's not even 9. I'm exhausted. Up late too many nights. You know, late for me is midnight on a work day. Or a weekend. What difference would it make? I'm still up at 5 a.m. So, doesn't matter whether I'm going to work or not going to work. I'm still up at 5. All right. Let's paint this and black dried out. Typical. I just got a notification. I don't know what it is. Oh, lovely. Now we're having camera issues. Fifteen years ago, I was using Blogger. What a pain in the ass Blogger was. I can't tell you how many times I took my pictures and I organized them just how I wanted them on there. I had the right text where I needed it. What is going on? Why do I keep getting this notification of this camera or whatever? Okay, take that, take that. Take that off. Take that off. Take that off. Okay. Bluetooth on. Why is the hell Bluetooth on? Okay. Blogger. I can't tell you how many times I took like these pictures of, like, say my DVA army I was painting. That's what it started with. I started taking pictures and moving it where I wanted and got the text, and then it would poop out onto me in the middle of it, and I have to start all over again. That was just hell. And then I went to WordPress, and that worked for maybe 3 or 4 years. And it's just so much easier. Yeah, but you don't know if somebody's seeing your site, if you're just wasting your time. People can't really interact with you really well. So Facebook is much better for that. Much, much better for that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm getting we good on juice? Yeah. So what I was doing for the longest time is, it says your camera, which was, your camera can be used, your phone can be used as a camera, right? Pretty easy, right? Should be easy to make it work. It didn't. It took me forever to figure out how to, it talk to itself. Then once you did, then I had it, it said that if you could either connect through Wi-Fi, so in other words, have your computer and your phone be on the same Wi-Fi together. But it works better if you hard connect it with a wire. So I was connecting it with a wire, and so it was talking to it, and it was also charging the phone from the laptop connection through the same one, through the USB-C. But the other day, I got disconnected, and it wasn't charging through there. So I'm like, all right, well, now I got the phone connected to the wall that on the, you know, the supercharger it comes with, which is awesome for juice. But then the only way these two can talk to each other is through the Wi-Fi. So, you know, Wi-Fi should be fast enough to handle everything, but I don't know. I'm not a technology guy, like I said. And the only thing worse than something not working is it works fine, it works fine, it works fine. You do it the same way, and then one day you start doing it and it doesn't work anymore, and nobody can tell you why. And it's just like, you know, that kind of stuff is not my cup of tea. I find it extremely disturbing that things will work fine, and then for no reason, you don't do anything different, and all of a sudden they don't work anymore. You know, reminded me of the 64-bit apocalypse. I heard somebody say that, and I've just commandeered that. The 64-bit apocalypse is what happened with the iPad. I don't know, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever it was. They changed everything to 64-bit, and some apps that I had, they never made them in 64-bit, so I basically lost the game. It was one particular game in particular. I had just purchased it and didn't have a copy of. It was when they did version 11 for the iPad, and it was one particular game. I never got a chance to play it, and they never upgraded it to the 64-bit because it wasn't worth their time or something like that. So, oh well, it happens. So I think at the time there was a way to backdate it to an earlier version than version 11, and it would work fine. But that's not even in the store anymore, and well, I don't even use the iPad anymore. So. At those big mysteries, I'm just not programmed to solve them. I have a lot of patience when it's like, okay, you're going to paint this guy, and it's going to take you 24 hours to paint him. No problem, I can do that. But, you know, trying something on a computer and it doesn't work, and it doesn't work, and it doesn't work, and after 4 hours of working on something, you have nothing to show for it. Yeah, I find that really frustrating. But our little DBA community is pretty good. There's a couple people that are, I don't know if it's intentional, but it seems like every time they post something, they create controversy. But there's very few people that do that. Ottoman charge against the Serbs is incredible. You know, I've done that charge before and it's never worked. Usually what happens is you go in and the first guy doesn't beat him, so he falls back. And then the next guy gets killed. And now you got this big hole in your line. And you did it when it was your bound, so now your opponent, you hosed yourself and your opponent gets to capitalize on that. So that's the only time that's ever worked. But I don't know why he moved. I would have just stayed back there. I would have played the distance game. But I'll tell you what, I started thinking, and sometimes when you're playing an army that you know you have an advantage on, you tend to just play it safe, and sometimes that costs you the game. That may be why my Hungarians are just not doing well. My Hungarians are just absolutely terrible. For as good of an army as I think that army is, does terrible. They're like 3-12 or something like that. Now, in all fairness, there's probably 4 or 5 games that I didn't play with my painted Hungarian army. In other words, the way I do on wins and losses is if I've played that army, even with somebody else's troops, and I can go build them, I get to keep their win-loss record. It's only fair, you know? And when I started that army, they had a losing record. They were like 1-4 or something like that already. So, you know. And likewise, if I have an army that I've done really well with, but I don't actually own, like the Athenians, which I think are like 12-3 or something like that, if I paint them, I'm going to keep that 12-3 win record with them. I mean, it goes both ways. I actually haven't done that. I don't think that's that important to me, but it isn't win at all costs. I just, you know, you don't want to spend a couple hundred hours paying an army and they suck and they're losers, you know, but I still like to play them. Honestly, I enjoy the Ottoman army more than most armies, just by how they look, and I don't mind how they play either, but they've now got their 17th win. Of course, they've got 36 losses, I think. And Mitch is within 4 games of tying me. So I already told him, I said, if he beats me, he's going to have to do all the filming then. So you better start throwing some games. The Ottomans are... Where the hell are they? Oh. 17-32. Okay. They're a little better than I thought that they were. But yeah, that's never worked with them. I've even done the charge from over a hill. Didn't matter. In other words, there was I needed to get in there before they started shooting me, so I came over the blind side of a hill to hit them with uphill advantage. Didn't work. There was a Historicon I brought them to, and I played a lot of games with them, and that really cemented their ass getting kicked big time. But no, it happens. It happens. Oh, I see. We didn't do this just yet. But it seemed like the better army actually lost the other night. Was it last night? I guess it was last night. I mean, I thought my Hungarian army had a big edge against his Serb. The problem is I just didn't want to give him a shot at my... I didn't want his artillery to shoot at my war wagons. I didn't want to win that way. I didn't want to lose that way. So I found a different way to lose. And I think that army has a history of having its heavy infantry just blown away and losing the game. I haven't lost the game because of the war wagons or anything else. It's usually the heavy infantry getting blown away. And there's 3 of them. There's just not any reason for that to happen, but oh well. What you gonna do, right? But I do like the Ottomans regardless of how well they do. Remember, when you win, it's a game of skill. When you lose, it's a game of dice. I don't think that way. Lots of people do. And that's one of my pet peeves. You play somebody and it's like, they think that way. But you need to be honest. There's some times where, the games with the Pope, there's a couple of games where I just couldn't. I was just getting totally out-pipped. Forget the combat rolls. It's the pips are actually more powerful than the combat rolls. The combat rolls, you get hosed, you move on. You no longer have that unit, you deal with it. But when it's like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do with 2 pips. I needed 4. That draws the game out and is really frustrating. It is part of the game. But yeah, I don't think we have a problem with those players that think that play that way. They're like, you know, you need to be honest with your assessment. Let's look at some of these shields. Maybe a little bit more. All right. Focus, damn it. Focus. Yeah, the other thing is that aggression 4 on the Turks is just brutal. Absolutely brutal. When you don't have a balanced army and it's high aggression, you're in trouble. Unless you're paying somebody else, you're playing someone else. It's also very aggressive, but it's pretty much a deal breaker. Even with like an aggression 2, an aggression 2 doesn't win terrain very often unless you're playing somebody else that is in the same boat. But an aggression 4. DBM app suffers being a book 4. Yeah. No shooters. And they kicked a lot of ass historically. So I know they had a huge army, but the funny thing is, you know, the Serbs lost to the guys that they lost historically. How ironic. All right. Let's see if we can get this guy painted up. Cav have a tough time against knights. I don't feel that that's the case in DBA at all. I'd much rather have Cav than knights. This Cav can't be quick killed by crossbow or longbow if they move into contact with them, and they have the same number as knights do. They still have a 3. So they don't get quick killed against blade on ties. So I wish there was some kind of distance fire in some of those elements, like, you know, the Turks or Sassanids. You know, Sassanid Cav should be able to fire at a distance. The distance may be half a base width. It doesn't have to be a huge distance, but they should be able to inflict some damage with nothing happening to them. Just a little more here. Last one. DBMM Cav are quick killed by the knights and the knights bound. Oh yeah, that's tough. That's tough. All right, last one, and then we're going to go to bed. I'll do the straps in the morning on the back side. All right. We're going to set these guys off to the side. We just have to do little straps on the back and they'll be done. So anyhow, how long are we on here? An hour and a half almost? Well, honestly, I'm surprised I was able to last this long, to be honest with you, because I'm pretty darn tired. So, well, we'll catch you guys later on in the week, hopefully. Thanks for stopping by, and we will start working on something else here shortly after we're done with these guys.